No one else actually gives a shit about your happiness. Well, it's day 3 of giving the middle finger to the algorithm. Why? Because I can, and it's a choice. The free world that we live in, people. The free world indeed. I'm going to teach you a little bit of something today if you want to stick around. And this teaching comes off the back of a really great conversation that I had with a client. If you are new here, then I'd recommend going back and watching maybe day 1 and day 2 of giving the middle finger to the algorithm so you can learn a little bit about me. If you are new here and you don't want to do that, essentially for over 10 years now, I've helped people break through an identity that they've held about themselves, that they've been subconsciously projecting to help them make more money, live a happier life, and have the most beautiful relationship. So when I was having a coaching call with one of my clients, the subject of happiness and how much happiness can we actually experience during our working day, during just time with ourselves, and also during time with our partner or partners, if you're a little bit spicy. Well, first of all, happiness is subjective. What happiness means to me and what it means to you could be completely different. And that's okay. So I'd say the first thing to hone down on, if this is a question, and this is what came up when I was, coaching my client, is you've got to define what happiness means to you. Funnily enough, I'm laughing now, but here's a real on the spot, in the moment decision around happiness. Here's an example. Like me doing content and doing videos the way that I want to do them and not to be controlled by the structures of content has to be done this way with a hook and a middle bit and a call to action, all the rest of it. I didn't want to fucking do it. I was not happy following along with what everyone else was doing and just jumping in with this weird stream that already existed. There was no real creativeness that was happening. It was just like following one of those join the dots, sort of colouring books. I don't want to fucking join the dots. I want to be able to show up and just express what is going on, the energy that I have that day. If it is low, then you get low. If it is peaking, then you get peaking. Peaking duck! You've got to define your happiness, first of all, is what I said to this particular client. I've been working with this particular client for about 6 months now. And we've been through different phases and different uncoverings of what happiness means to him. And it's always really interesting when I first start working with people, what they define as happiness. It's never the same 2-3 months down the line, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line. There's an evolution of what it means. And that's okay too. I think a lot of people get caught up in their heads that once they've defined the parameters of happiness or success, that then they have to live inside of those parameters. They have to, just walk around the edge of it. And if they dare play or put their finger through the fence, then the whole thing collapses or crumbles down around them. But that isn't true, is it? Because I will say, no one else actually gives a shit about your happiness. You have to be the one that takes control of that, defines it, number one, and then takes action upon it. Whether that changes the next day, whether that changes in the next 10, 15 minutes, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody is so wrapped up with their own life and the things that they have going on that you should just get on with being you. And I find that's the biggest thing that holds people back when they're deciding on, well, I want to be happy. And of course, I want to walk through my day feeling like I'm on top of the world. I have great energy. Every person I interact with, there's this beautiful exchange of energy that happens back and forth. That is a decision. That is a fucking choice. And I say, well, what's wrong with just being that way and doing that right now? And they'll say, well, what's this person, that person? What's the world going to think about me? They're going to think I'm some sort of fucking cuckoo guy. Well, I think it's an absolute disaster of a life lived if you are not being whatever expression of yourself you are supposed to be. So number one, define happiness. And then there's all of those kind of sub-categorical conversations that come up from that. And so I would say, the second thing around happiness is how we do one thing is how we do everything. So however you relate to happiness and what you make happiness means dictates that that same viewpoint is being used in other areas of your life as well. For example, if you need permission to be happy, then you will need permission to grow. Because underneath the surface of happiness, of the yellow face with the big smile, and you punch in the sky, happiness is quite confronting, because happiness asks you to tell the truth. Not the polished truth, not the filtered version that you either tell yourself because it feels a little bit better, or that you tell other people because that's what they want to hear and that's a little bit easier for them to digest. No, it's the truth that might actually inconvenience people. A level of happiness that actually might change your decisions, might require boundaries, or maybe the truth that might make you stop living for approval. And that could be the sucky bit sometimes, is that once you actually start defining what happiness means, underneath that surface level thing, well, I'd be happy if, and you might say, making a bit more money, if this was this way and that person did this and, I felt like that. That's great. I want to challenge you with that, just like, how I challenge my clients, and ask yourself, well, if that came to fruition, what does that mean? How does that make you feel? And just start to go underneath the surface of that. Even if you just do the exercise once, I would encourage you to do it a few times, because I don't think you ever really get to the core of where your deepest level of happiness is, or what your deep purpose or cause in the world is, unless you really fucking sit and peel it back as if your life actually depends on it, which, let's be honest with each other, your life actually does depend on it. And I think underneath all of those peeled layers, there's a couple of really potent questions. I don't think the real question is what makes me happy. I think it's more of a, am I willing to live by the answer? And so when I ask my client, define happiness, what does happiness mean to you? Are you willing to live by the standards that create that level of happiness, or that outcome that you've narrated? It calls upon such a present, free thinking, grounded version of yourself. And that's really scary for a lot of people, because I would suggest, there's no statistics here, but I would suggest, from living a little bit of life and trying a few things, that a lot of people walk through life fairly numb to life, avoiding happiness, because if I live a happy life, then there's a judgment from other people, maybe loved ones, maybe those that I grew up with, maybe from the outside world, that you can't live that way. None of the rest of us do. How dare you be in this high level state of elation and happiness 24/7? It's just not normal. Lovely, lovely coffee. Always make your own coffee. Not instant. Try and buy some good beans for yourself and do a good job with brewing them, because there's a night and day difference between instant coffee, bad coffee, and making your own. Completely irrelevant from the last conversation. This is gone. I am done sharing with you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.